is a department that is very dear to the heart of the governor. For him, infrastructural transformation and implementation of any other projects is determined by road infrastructure. That is to say, even in industrialization, it is the road that determines localization of industries. To this end, His Excellency has given one man who has been described as a workaholic, who has transformed that sector of the economy. So today, we'll be talking about road construction and every other construction that falls within the Ministry of Works, Akwa Ibom State. I'll be speaking with Akpawara Ephraim Inyang-eyen. He's my studio guest. When I come back from the break, please don't go away.
Oh yes, Governor Udom Emmanuel's administration that is people-oriented, vested in capacity, embodied with superior performance and rendered on integrity has attracted global commentaries and attention. The Americas said it, even the military confirms.
We are here following the wonderful success story that are emanating from your...
Our own Vice President relocates.
So when I think of a second home, of course Akwa Ibom is a good place.
China has joined. Are you an investor or entrepreneur? The 21-story intelligent building, good road network, well-equipped hospitals scattered all over the state with a world-class airline, 18 functional industries and still counting. These and many more are the reason we invite you. Come, live, work and invest in Akwa Ibom. Be part of the completion agenda. Only God. Powered by the Ministry of Information, Akwa Ibom State.
Welcome back. Yes, the man I have been talking about and I'm going to speak with in this special edition of Media Chart, fourth in the series, is Akpawara Ephraim Inyang-eyen, the Honorable Commissioner for Works, Akwa Ibom State. Well, born on 1965, I don't want to mention his age, but this man looked young at all time. Several work experience he has garnered, has been in the custom, has been everywhere, and today his avowed determination to transform, alongside with his boss, the governor, is in his bloodstream. The typical example is the isolation center that he has graciously delivered within 1 month. Well, join me as I introduce Akpawara Ephraim Inyang-eyen. Honorable Commissioner, it's good to have you in the media chart.
Thank you for having me with this.
You look handsome.
Thank you. What can I do? Thank God.
Let's start this way because that is the end thing now. COVID-19 has once again proven your capacity in job delivery. His Excellency gave you a standing order, and within days you've been able to deliver that isolation center at Itumban. Tell me, how did you get it done?
Well, on the 5th of April, precisely, was a Sunday, His Excellency called me and gave a commanding order. He was not making suggestions. He said he needed to have that 300-bed isolation center. He didn't give me anything more than that order, that go to Itumban. And in 2 weeks initially, I've never built an isolation center before. So by 8 a.m. on the 6th, which was a Monday of April, I'd gone to Itumban, located the place where we now have the isolation center, and had several old structures there that were abandoned. So on that 6th, I had to take them down, requested for equipment of the company, particularly Henset Construction. And by the 7th, we had started digging the 60 by 40 meters isolation center. And I thank God that we were able to work there nights and brought that isolation center to being. From the 7th of April till about 1 week ago, it was day and night. There was a night team, there was a day team every day. And I must at this point say that that isolation center had been completed about a week ago. We were just waiting for the governor to come for the commissioning on the 29th. Then we had finished. But if I must take you through what we had at the isolation center, I think we would not be blowing our trumpet, but I think the world can see it is the best today in Nigeria. It's a 60 by 40 meter isolation center that has 4 big wards. One of the wards is now converted to the intensive care units. We are fixing the beds. And then there's Ward A, and it's fitted, and the entire center is well kitted. Yeah. We have CCTV cameras, 24 of them, buried in the walls, that will give the receptionist absolute control of the center. Every movement is monitored. We have intercoms, we have DSTVs, 2 television per ward, and we have air conditions. Ward A has 10 air conditions, floor standing 3 tons. Ward B has 9 floor standing air conditions. Ward C has 8, and Ward D has 7. So the isolation center with all facilities, toilet, change rooms for doctors, has a doping center where the PPE that the doctors or the medical personnel use are changed and dropped. Absolutely amazing. It has entrance for the medical personnel, it has entrance for the referred patients, it's a referral center, and it has exit for the doctors. Nobody uses the same exit or the same entrance to enter and go out through the same entrance. Once you enter, there's a route for you to go out so that you don't infect the people you met at the entrance. The center is also installed a lab. There's a virology lab that takes care of infectious diseases. All the equipment have been brought in. The professor certified by NCDC has installed all the labs. Has all the place fitted with air conditions, toilet facilities, and then there is also the general lab, which you call the clinical lab. That lab takes care of normal blood tests and all those kind of things with an administrative center where you submit blood samples. The center is also privileged to have a 20-cell single-room apartments, 20, 10 down, 10 up for the medical personnel. The nurses who work there and the doctors don't go home. Presently, the government is paying hotels for them to stay. There are the Tumba. There's a 20-bedroom self-contained. In those rooms, you have the bed furnished by government, air conditioning, television, same with DSTV, with all the security gadgets. It has a kitchen, it has a toilet, it has a sit-out for each of those flats. And then the hospital is lucky because of the isolation center. We have now brought in a building for the medical director, chief medical director, a self-contained flat with the secretary of the hospital, so that at least there will be somebody to monitor what goes on there. And then we have a canteen, a modern day canteen that can sit 40 at a time. It will save the hospital community, the Tombangera hospital community, and the isolation center. And then I think for the first time, they're privileged to have government provide a 200 kVA and a 150 kVA generator to power the entire equipment. There are several equipment there, and the absence of light, it won't work. We also provided a borehole of 19,000 liters of water with water treatment plant. The most sophisticated water treatment plant is installed there. And we have firefighting equipment. We have 6 fire cabinets, hoses, built into the walls of the isolation center. And in case of fire, a pump will be turned on that will release volume of water instead of evacuation. That water will be able to quell any level of fire in the isolation center. And this is done one linking up to the other. It's met every standard. Last 1 week, WHO member of the team, the incident management team of the state came, NCSC, all of them came, and they were very satisfied with what has been done. So for me, isolation center that started on the 6th, 7th of April, was ready about a week ago. And at this point, it wasn't something done by Ephraim Inyang-eyen alone. It was a teamwork. Kudos must go to God Almighty, because I'll tell you the truth. There were several times it rained in Uyo, never got to the isolation center. So we were able to walk that night. And His Excellency has done extremely well. Funded, gave us funds for the program.
I was about asking you, any support from the federal government?
Not at all.
Because we are aware that there was a support in Kano, Kaduna, Lagos.
For our state, to the best of my knowledge, at least I was privileged to hear His Excellency speak as at Sunday. That was just about 3 days ago. Absolutely zero support from the federal government of Akwa Ibom. Everything done at the isolation center is by the state government. And even the coalition against these banks,
yes,
with central bank, they gave us some aid, but I think in their first letter they mistakenly said they were handing over the isolation center. I resisted them. They just changed the letter. What they're giving us are part equipment, not the totality of equipment. Akwa Ibom State government has bulk of the equipment, so they just gave us equipment support. That center has been built absolutely by Governor Udom Emmanuel. I've received all the funding from him, and up till as I speak, I'm not aware of any major support in terms of that facility from the federal government of Nigeria. And as at Sunday, no such support came from the federal government. I don't know, they've chosen to give to the states that built tents, who did makeshift. But for a governor who took the bull by the horn to do a permanent structure. And let me say this, that permanent structure His Excellency has built, that after COVID-19 has upgraded it took Mbang, especially General Hospital, to a higher level of a general hospital, not found anywhere in the States. So, plus minus, even if COVID-19 is over, which we pray it will, that place will be used for several other purposes. And if there is any infectious disease in future, like before we had Ebola, we've had flu, we had all those things, Akwa Ibom will be permanently ready. And it has laid to rest those who made all manners of insinuation. At the beginning, Governor started with the infectious disease center at the Correctman, moved to Ibom specialists, and when he found them inadequate, he built this 300 bed. It's absolutely amazing. For me, there's no such structure for this COVID-19 anywhere in Nigeria.
Okay, if you just join us, I'm playing host to Akpawara Ephraim Inyang-eyen, the Honorable Commissioner for Works, who you've listened to him talk. We started from the isolation center. Some will be asking, is he a medical doctor? No, this man fits in almost every facet. You listen to him mention some medical terms with ease. That goes to show that this gentleman has the capacity. Well, when I come back from the break, I want to leave him thinking. First term of His Excellency, he constructed 1,700 roads. That was when there was no COVID-19. Now in his second term, this is making 1 year. I'll be asking him, we still have that capacity to pick up that kind of responsibility on road infrastructure? We'll be right back. Welcome back. Yes, I did ask him to think over the 1,700 kilometers of road that was constructed in the first term of His Excellency. It's a vowed determination to transform, especially the rural area. I want to ask Akpawara Ephraim Inyang-eyen. This is a year into the second term of His Excellency. And do we still have that kind of capacity?
Well, we do. I want to say three things here. First, the 1,700 kilometers during the first term, some were completed, some were ongoing. Okay. You know, some of those projects like the superhighway of 55.1 kilometers were absolutely through impossible terrain. So they were just part of what we had undertaken. Most of the dualized road that were part of it, if you go to Ikoro today, we are at Ikoro, very close to Itina. If you go to Itina Ndoneyo Road, we are absolutely at Ndoneyo. We have less than 200 meters to East-West Road, the terminal point of that road. If you go to, after suffering lots of setbacks, if you go to Airport Okobodi, that dualized road, yes, to get to Yaro, we are almost at Okobodi. If you go to Itina Eke, what people have not realized that we've crossed 18 and General Hospital, except for Afaranse and Ndia. If we pay compensation in those two communities, we are the connected, which is less than a kilometer to the end of that road. All pockets of those things that were done. Once we have money, we pay compensation between 18 and Bridge, through Afaranse, through Ndia, which is just about 1.8 kilometers. And we link up all the other ones that have been done. And the greater part of that 23-kilometer road would have been completed. So in absolute terms, we're on track. If you go to Eket remodeling, the greater part of that job been done, which was on the ground. And right now, once we have compensation, which His Excellency is working on, to pay for the Abia's house, and pay for mobile filling station, and pay for Union Bank, and we're on Grace Bill. We're not doing any demolition on Grace Bill. So that Eket remodeling will be done. So by and large, a continuation of that 1,700 is on track. Some completed, some yet to be completed. They were absolutely on track. And I want to say this emphatically, none has been abandoned. There could have been a slowdown because of funding. It's obvious that funds were not like projected. I mean, the state budget of 597 has come to about 398 or 95. There's a drastic reduction. But what His Excellency has done that is quite amazing is that during the COVID-19 pandemic, he did something. He constituted the COVID-19 Post-Reconstruction Committee. What was the committee to do? Is to look at what will we become, what will we do with available resources post-COVID-19. And so I was privileged to be part of that committee. I would take them to visit NDDC project sites. Those are the things you know that are abandoned, not the one Akwa Ibom State government is doing. That if we're supposed to do 10 kilometers in 3 months and we do 5, it's basically either the weather or funding. And these are obvious facts. If Governor Udom had about what the administration before him had in terms of funding of the commissioning to prepare those roads, do the final touches, go and see that the drainages are flowing, go and see that the outfall drains are ready. In the last 3 months, from February actually, we've been on lockdown. Most of the contractors were ordered by us in writing to shut down their site. So if in 3 months, all the resources that we had anticipated in the initial budget shouldn't continue that way, so that we don't have too many things incompleted. Now, in the midst of it, there were priorities that came up. Like there were roads in Eket, that the people in Eket, as a senatorial reporter said, oh, we're not done. His Excellency graciously awarded them. I think one of them, the totality of them was about 15 kilometers. And they were paid off. Almost all the funding were given. That will be added. I believe you me, it is not possible for this governor, this particular governor, to stay and not hear the cries of the people. So pockets of awards that are still taking place. Yeah. And then if you still add, we've actually crossed the 1,700 to maybe about 1,822 kilometers. They are not all completed. I see a young man of the other party, I don't like to call the name of the party, because governors taught us that if you're in the Coca-Cola board, you don't mention Pepsi. Yeah. So I don't like to mention anything except PDP. And so if you critically look at it, someone will go and pick up a road like in Okobo that was started about 5 months ago, yeah, and claim it is abandoned when out of a 6.7 kilometer road. Yes, we've not funded because the contractor, we took the contractor into confidence. He has done 7 kilometers of drainage and 8 work. And then you are saying the road has been abandoned. What do you call a project abandoned? If they want to know about abandoned project, they should come to our state. I will take them to visit NDDC project sites. Those are the things you know that are abandoned, not the one Akwa Ibom State government is doing. That if we're supposed to do 10 kilometers in 3 months and we do 5, it's basically either the weather or funding. And these are obvious facts. If Governor Udom had about what the administration before him had in terms of funding, Akwa Ibom would have been like Dubai in terms of infrastructure. So basically, is that our hands are shortened because of funding. Most times now, after payment of salaries that some of us are privileged to know about, not much is left. But the governor is determined that even at a slow rate, these projects must continue. these projects must continue. Just today, before this interview, I went to Osama. I call it a housing extension.
Okay.
And that area, there was an SOS about 2 years ago. There was no road. The level of new houses have since sprang up because we did those 24 roads that are ready for commissioning. If His Excellency will agree.
I was about asking you if there's any road project that is going to be commissioned to commemorate the first 1 year in the second term of His Excellency.
Yes, very straight. That particular one at Osama, 24 out of 28 roads are ready. They can be counted. But then let me answer that question very critically. Okay. Usually, before you do road commissioning, you need time, 2-3 months, to the time of the commissioning, to prepare those roads, do the final touches, go and see that the drainages are flowing, go and see that the outfall drains are ready. In the last 3 months, from February actually, we've been on lockdown. Most of the contractors were ordered by us in writing to shut down their site. So if in 3 months of 9 months, nothing happened, I do not want the governor to commission any road that is 98% ready. It should be 100% ready. We have projects like, several projects that most of them at 95, 97% ready. So I would rather ask His Excellency to give us a little more time. Let's use, once the lockdown hopefully is over by June, that we can use June, July, August. So when during the state anniversary, we would have gathered the 3 months that we lost, because from February, we have basically not gone to any site. And 3 months with funding is a whole lot of time. And since we have lost that 3 months, we will not roll out so that we don't go to commission projects that are 98, 99. And again, I love to visit the projects that are ready for commissioning over and over again. Like now they brought me a list. The one at the Ikot is sealed between Esneket and Eket, 3 kilometers is ready. Another one, 2.7 kilometers is ready, but I must be honest, I have not visited them. So I'm not going to put up a list that His Excellency should go and commission them when I've not had the time to go see them, because partly of the lockdown. So what we are going to have is that if His Excellency accepts, we just take the Osama, excellent job down there, 24 roads, and commission them. But by September 23rd, that will be the state anniversary.
Yes.
The time we lost, we would have gained back that time, and it will be a total rollout. Several of the roads are 80%, 75%, 90%, 95%. The next 3 months of June, July, August would have done it. You say, oh, it will be raining. Once you have done the earthwork, once you have done the drainage, you've done the earthwork, you've stone base. Even if you have 3 days of sun, you can lay asphalt. Wow. You can lay asphalt. But what you cannot do during the rainy season is earthwork. If you take equipment to tamper with the earth during the rainy season, you destroy the topsoil of the earth. And that could be very, very dangerous.
But you came under heavy criticism at some point that most of the road you've done are substandard. And the House of Assembly, it was just all over the social media. How did you feel then?
Well, I felt very good because it was not the House of Assembly. The Akwa Ibom State Assembly never said it. It was an individual from that community who took matters that he didn't have deep knowledge about and went to expose it. And by the time we gave him the detail, I'm very convinced he was sorry for that error. Now, when you do road construction, what is most critical in road construction is not the asphalt. It's the foundation of the road, just like building a house. The foundation of a white man, he called them, who came as son to my village, was absolutely awesome. The drainage was awesome. In the pressure of that time to commission the road, they laid the asphalt. Portions of the asphalt failed, not the road. You know, you do a 10-kilometer asphalt. Asphalt is material made by man, so a portion failed. That did not mean that the whole road failed. And at the point of commissioning, His Excellency the Governor saw it, called my attention, and I called the contractor. And the contractor said, As soon as we have the dry season, he will excavate and lay complete new asphalt.
Has that been done?
Absolutely. You can go take a look at it. So the young man, the House of Assembly member representing Balenin at that time, didn't wait and didn't get the information that he needed. He went to the social media and said 80% of the road constructed by the state failed. If I must ask, I did at some level of elementary arithmetic and mathematics. I don't know whether I'm good or not. But if you have done all the roads we've done in the state and one had problem of asphalt failure, not to the foundation, does that constitute even 2%? The volume of roads done in the state? The answer is no.
Yeah.
There was another road we gave out on AFA, Alternative Project Funding Approach. An American funded the road and the state government gave him ISPO. Okay? He was taking money from the state money, but they funded the road in the local government that links our state directly into Aruchu in Abia State. A completed bridge that I drove on, 135 meters length bridge. Some people who wanted some backhands, and the contractor on my instruction didn't cooperate, said the bridge didn't exist. And His Excellency the Governor was surprised and sent people, and the bridge is there. So those were the kind of insinuations. Some of them had undertones. It was not basically that there was anything wrong. They now went to the road at Ntoidino, Egorazo, done by Seyan, done a beautiful job, reclaimed the land from massive deposit of clay. He did binder course. Binder. You know what the binder does? The binder is like a rubberized material that you use in holding together stone base. That's not asphalt. The binder doesn't have thickness. The binder is to hold so that the stone base do not scatter.
Okay, it's like liquid.
It's like liquid that sprays on it, and then when he solidifies, he holds the stone base. If you have only a stone base road, what you find is that the stones will be running. Yeah. So you use the binder to tie it together. Okay? That's not asphalt. No asphalt was done on that road because I diverted the contractor's funding to complete the bridge. So the contractor was waiting to get funding from government to go lay the asphalt. So people went there, and when they saw spot, they said the road fell. It was absolute ignorance. The road didn't fail. Yeah. That's why you didn't see me run around or go to anywhere. I sat here because I knew what we had done. The contractor was then given money by government. If you go to that road, a portion of that road, the greater part of it, has now been asphalted. Absolutely amazing job. A man who could do that level of bridge, if you ask me, is one of the cleanest bridges done in the state, and reclaim the land from the massive clay deposit. Oh, can asphalt any road. And the cheapest part of construction of road is laying of asphalt. It's not done by man, it's machine. So you don't even need any technicality. What you do is set the machine, and then you set the paradigms. Yes. So the thing releases the thing, and then when it comes to that level, it shuts off. Where you need ingenuity is the drainage to get the direction of flow. If you don't get the right gradients, the water won't flow. It will be stagnant water. That's it, you need engineering skill. If you don't get the right content for cutting of the soil to remove the unsuitable. So if all those could be done, then talking about asphalting is the most elementary part of construction. So every of that information that came on social media, if you ask me, probably wrongly targeted at my person, but they forget that my job as supervisor, I will only fail if I sign off what is not been properly done. But there was none of them I had signed off. I didn't know. I didn't sign off any of them. What we simply did was that the governor went there to commission the road to allow official opening so that there can be access. That didn't stop the contractor from completing that job. The commissioner of work becomes liable when I sign the completion certificate to take off the responsibility of the road from the contractor to government. And there was none of those roads that the completion certificate was signed. But you know how people like to hear bad things, so they run to the rumor mills, and the rest is history.
Talking about bad news. You came on the spotlight of some sort of criticism. People say you're wicked. You just got there, demolished their houses, and so on and so forth. A lot of people will want to know because the whole world is watching you. Is Ephraim Inyang really wicked?
Well, I think that anybody that says I'm wicked, he is himself the actual wicked one. Why I've said so is that I have determined that truth must prevail. Let one genuine Akwa Ibom come forward and say his house was demolished. Not an imaginary house who was not paid for. There is no such house. I'm going to show you a case of somebody that wrote petition against me to the governor recently. And the secretary to government called my attention. And by the time I supplied them the data, they were embarrassed. Adeke, Hospital Road was the least of my trouble. My trouble was at Tabon, Liverpool, to go on Oron Road, to go on Grace B. I knew that the hospital road was wide enough, we may take down a few structure. A man approached me and said, they have a structure along Hospital Road, and that he was sick. So that he shouldn't die before his compensation is paid. So he wrote an appeal, and I recommended that the consultant give him some part of his money, and they gave him. That was January 2019. By July 2019, we paid him another last chunk of that money without demolishing his house. And then a member of that household, having heard that he had collected the money, now went to court. He now wrote to us so that he could be covered, that we should come and demolish you before the sister or whatever will win the case in court. So a little part of what was left for him was that if we had new money, we would have paid him up. It was demolished at his begging. And he had collected like 70% of the money. The man wrote a petition to the government that we demolish his house, we are not paid him one go. So I now sent all his appeal and all the details to the governor, and the man read it. They didn't call me again. Those are the people at the back that will say Ephraim Inyang is wicked. Or somebody will now go and value a bungalow to be more expensive than a story building. And Ephraim Inyang will say, okay, I don't agree with this one though. I will call a second opinion. Ephraim Inyang is wicked. That Ephraim Inyang is not willing to sign what he has not seen. Take an example on the Tinandonoyo. The moment we measured that road out, we were going to construct it. Well over 3,800 imaginary structures, built with blocks, no window, no roof, no iron, just a few blocks. Imaged on the side of the road from Ikorinyang to Ndonoyo. And I jokingly now asked another valuer to go value those additional structures because by that time we had finished the valuation. The initial valuation was like 5 billion. This new valuation was 6.4 billion of imaginary structures. And I took it to the governor. I said, the valuation has increased. He said, what happened? I told him. He drove on the road himself. He came by and said, Chief Ephraim, that cannot be done. Government cannot pay. Go take them down. So we went there from 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. in the night and brought all of them down. When I got to Mbuto, the youths of Mbuto told me, hey, you've done that because he's a China. I said, follow me to Awa. I went to Awa, took all of them down. The youths of Mbuto in a China and Awa told me, can you do that in Nongem, that is close to your village? I said, follow me. And we went there by lake. And we cleaned up. It is because Ephraim Inyang will insist that the right thing be done, in terms that you don't have a structure, you will not be paid. If you are related to the governor will not agree you should be paid, so I will not pay you.
But that wasn't the practice in the past. What people have come to, from the complaint, they have come to tell us.
Yes.
As journalists, they said in the past,
yes.
I mean, immediately a contract of a road is awarded.
Yes.
What you need to do is to buy a few blocks, erect something, and government will pay you for it.
Was that the right thing? Was it in the interest of Akwa Ibom people? A few people benefited from it. It was a cabal. And that cabal are the one writing petitions against me to EFCC and ICPC. And I feel good because I've done nothing wrong. But while God will permit me, and at the mercy of His Excellency the Governor, I insist, if it is not right, I will not do it. So if you can
find it's difficult to do right in Nigeria.
No, but somebody has to start it somewhere. And we are getting it right. In the first time in the history of this state that compensation are paid directly to the owners. And those of them who go about talking, I'm waiting for somebody to come forward because I will print the bank statement and publish it. I have it because we don't pay people cash except farmland. We transfer money from the consultant's account to your account. So if you deny, we will write to the bank to demand for the statement and we'll publish it. And no property owner has come forward to say it was not paid. So the change must take place from somewhere. And that change, for as far as that ministry is concerned, must start because I insist that the greater interest of the Akwa Ibom people is greater than the interest of a few people who benefited from the system. They are the ones making noise. Somebody that has done valuation would tell me I should first pay him the valuation money before I pay for the right of way. I said, no sir, no sir. Let me pay the 90%, acquire the right of way. When further funds are released, I will pay you. They said I've taken the money. Oh, but I insist that if I have 200 million to pay compensation, I will pay for the properties first. Knock them down. Road construction is going on. Because my opinion is that those ancillary payments can be done in one day. But the right of way cannot be done in one day or in 1 month because you have to acquire it gradually since the bulk money is not available. One of my friends wrote petition against me to EFCC and said I collected his money, paid them into my account. I sit here and I've said it when I visited ICPC. If 10 kobo of compensation money is traced to my account, I'll resign and make myself available for prosecution. But the problem is, tomorrow morning, if they give me 200 million for compensation, I will not pay them. No, I will go and pay for right of way, knock down the structures and build the road. So that the governor will take credit. Maybe 1 week to commissioning. Will now compute what is outstanding to them. Is available, we write check. They don't add any value to our road construction. But I cannot do that road construction without the 90% to the property owners to justify and set my conscience free. So it is that change in the pattern that has given them. You said you are a valuer. What is your work? That you think that government should prioritize paying you before they pay the property owners. Or because we've changed the payment that used to be routed through your account. So you and the valuer will agree and give the property owner anything. And then you go to court. We've changed that pattern. It will never happen again in Akwa Ibom. At least for the regime of Governor Udom and for long as God permits me to see the Minister of Works, that business will not take place.
That business will not take place, not in Akwa Ibom, not even in the Ministry of Works. And that's sometimes when we talk about change, it has to be practical. Well, we'll go on a short break, but I want to leave him thinking if he's going to talk about it. Honorable Commissioner, I hope you'd like to talk about the Akwa Ibom Senatorial District.
Sure.
And we definitely need to touch that road, Akwa Ibom Road.
Absolutely.
Akwa Ibom Road after the break, don't go away. Welcome back. Yes, before we get to Akwa Ibom Senatorial District and then speak about the road that has generated a whole lot of controversies. Of course, we've heard that Akwa Ibom Road compensation was paid, from the books, but was not practically seen. So His Excellency had to, through the Ministry of Work, get that done. But before we get there, in just 2 minutes, let's find out the economic benefit of road construction. Because His Excellency raised a very vital point when we ask him why so much emphasis on road construction. Because we live within the Uyo metropolis that we used to hear that almost all the roads have been completed in Uyo. We get to see that even some of the roads that were awarded by Obonwata, is still being constructed by Udom Emmanuel. And one began to wonder, what are the economic benefits of road construction?
Well, let me take you back to Economics 101, the basic economics that we were taught, I think in class 3, when they showed us economics for the first time. What draws industries to an area, if you look at it, one of the key things is road network.
Accessibility.
Accessibility. If you don't have it, nobody will bring an industry to the location because taking in raw materials into the place will be very difficult. Taking out the finished product to the location will be very difficult. Even the working staffs getting to work and getting out will be very difficult. Let me be very honest with you. Road plays the basic foundation for industrialization. All manners of development. Okay, let me show you an example. Ibom Deep Sea Port will be a pipe dream in the absence of Ibom Superhighway. If I'm to be a lecturer, I will now do that and tell you analyzed. The simple analysis is, until about 3 months ago in January, when I had to lead the team to take them to physically get to the Ibom Deep Sea Port location, every previous effort was by helicopter. But because I know that terrain, I went there by myself, saw it, and took the team. Luckily, it was the day the federal government delegation came, and they got to where the deep sea port will be built. But the question will be, we went there monitoring the tide from the Atlantic Ocean. When it is low tide, there is space to drive in. When it is high tide, the entire place is covered. Now, we cannot build a deep sea port without having an access road to bring in equipments. The equipment cannot be brought in by helicopter. If it's brought in by the ship, it will not be discharged because of the high and low tide.
Yes, sir.
Where would they be kept? Now, Governor Udom Emmanuel came up with the idea of the superhighway to open it up. Because if you go to look at the seaport in Lagos, the Apapa port and the Tinkan port, one of the major errors was that after building the port, the road that led to those ports at their inception remained the same road even at their peak level. And those roads collapsed without maintenance. And when the road collapsed, the seaport became a no-go area. Today, it's Dangote that is building the Apapa the expressway. It ought not to be so. Because a percentage of the resources from the port should have been used to maintain that road. Okay. Akwa Ibom cannot fall into that error. So if we are building a deep sea port, the idea of constructing that 12-lane roads, even with toll, became very critical. So, if you cannot see the economic benefit of building road, you can see the one that the superhighway becomes sacrosanct if we must build a deep sea port. And so let me say it here very clearly. If the federal government will give His Excellency and our state, dear state, all the necessary approval to build a deep sea port, even in the midst of COVID-19, since we have investors, the economy of our state changes forever. Many industries that are built in Lagos are not built in Lagos because they are conducive. They are built because of closeness to the seaport. So, in the absence of road, there's no attraction to your environment because people can't even access you.
Yes.
Look at the road we built in Ini to Arochukwu. The people of Arochukwu today is using an airport. Is that not an economic benefit? Wow. That's an economic benefit. Yeah. Okay. Today we are building the different factories in location. Take for an example, the farm mill, Adona. Governor Udom Emmanuel constructed that 5-kilometer road from Bok to Kat. Will those investors have gone to that location if there was no access road? The answer is no. Now, the strange factory that is Arawa, if there was no access or possibility of having access, that those who are taking those materials for supplies will send in their vehicle with this. Will they have built that thing there? Okay, for granted. The only federal road in our state, the East-West Road, that they built the coconut refinery. Why do you think they built it at that location? It's because of the availability of that good road that can allow material to come in and go out. So, road, for me, is at the foundation of anything you want to do in terms of development. Right now, I went to Osama today. I've seen over 100 new roofs. All those roofs all those houses are erected. Why?
Because of the road.
Because of the road. Before then, it was a neglected area. I came here to build where I'm staying now 2 years ago. It was bush. Just because I created this road, opened up with the permission of the governor, and then a few of this road, construction around here is there at night. It's there at night, everywhere. Everybody's building. So the basic infrastructure that gives the human being that sense of comfort or development is road. After road is electricity. Now, anywhere there is road and there is light, there will be development. So Governor Udom Emmanuel is genuinely doing what he does because he knows what is required to develop a place, and is doing it very consciously. Why are we building dualized roads? A single lane road that we have in our state cannot manage container movements. A single container that breaks down, a 40-foot container that breaks down at the center of the road, will shut down the road on a single lane road, 7.3 meters. There will be no further traffic movement. But on a dualized road, it will only occupy part of a double lane, and then what you can do is shut down that side till the vehicle is fixed, probably if the tire pulls out. And then you can use the dualized road for a portion, a single lane. Now, if you didn't have those dualized roads, what would you do? The single lane roads, let me tell you this simple truth. The asphalt on single lane road is not the same on dualized road. The thickness of asphalt on dualized road makes dualized road last longer and carry heavier traffic. The other one can be as a thickness of up to 5 mm or 6 mm, while the other one could be 4. Wow. So these things are what galvanizes the basic structure ready for you to move. So the simple fact that we came here, graded about 5-6 roads around this area, is the only reason, because everything in this area was said, except that we now brought road. The place opened up and people are building. Go to everywhere that we have built roads in this state. The environment has changed. And if you are talking about roads that we said, sir, without mincing word and being insolent to previous government, there were a lot of roads done on paper. And that's why if you see me, I sit and begin to call the names of the road and attach them to this government so that people can go and see the roads we are calling by name. I wish somebody would ask me that question anytime I'm on radio. This government had done this road. Why are you saying you are doing the road? So that we can exchange note to go and see whether it was done and we are redoing, or if it was not done and we are doing.
That road, the Akpawara road was glaring. I mean, you took a whole lot of effort. I remember when you were on radio with Senator Itana.
Yes.
You know, and you talked about Calabar to road, that it was political, and it came to pass. He also talked about Akwa Ibom road, that compensation was approved but was not paid. It was this government that has paid the full compensation to the owners. Can you enlighten us, especially Akwa Ibom people who are watching home and abroad, for them to know exactly what this administration has gone through as regards Akwa Ibom road?
Well, Sammy, let me be very candid. We have to lay these things bare. First, at my interview at Inspiration, I told Itana the federal government does not intend to build any road between Akwa Ibom 2 and Edupani. I had my facts. You don't build a road by announcing the road without it being in the budget and releasing the funds. Akwa Ibom that was in the budget was not meant to be constructed, because for such a major road, we had 500 million in the budget, which is not enough to pay for 2 kilometers of compensation. If you remember that day, if you read what I said before you do road construction, when you are serious, you pay compensation and do demolition. That no compensation was paid on Akwa Ibom and no demolition was done. That what they did was to go to locations where there were no houses and do some scatter things. That's about Uyo, Akwa Ibom E2, Odupani. But let's go to Akwa Ibom. It was a road on the news, and during the ending days of the last administration, they hurriedly commissioned that road. Let me say here emphatically, and nobody can contradict it, that road was not completed. If you go to Twigbe, there was a 4-story building standing there.
Yes.
From Twigbe to where we are today, from Uyo, the 0.00 to Twigbe, was certainly not more than 12 kilometers on a 25-kilometer road. And what was done on the 12 kilometer of that road was a binder cost. There was no asphalt. Governor Udom Emmanuel is the one that gave Julius Berger money to lay asphalt from 0.00. You can go to Julius Benjamin and find out. I have the records. So it was already done. And if from kilometer 12 to 25, which is 13 full kilometers, nothing was done, no compensation was paid. What was done was, maybe many people do not understand. Let me say this. When you award a contract, there's what they call Bill 1. That Bill 1 has compensation, it has relocation of electric poles, it has supervision fee, it has vehicle. All the things that are to be done by government on behalf of the contractor, while Bill 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is bridge, it is the road that has bridges. The contractor had their money on Bill 2, 3, 4, 5. The Bill 1 was absolutely exhausted. 16.36 billion was exhausted. And those compensations were not paid. And that delayed the process. Because you don't expect me to go and demolish somebody's house without paying compensation. And the question was, where were we going to get the money when the Bill 1 was exhausted? And as I sit here, I will not sign additional on Bill 1. I won't do it. I won't do it. Because if you do it, the people who like to talk will say, oh, what happened to the original money? So we left it until the governor himself had to intervene and created money as governor. So we now went paying the compensation and brought the road to kilometer 25. And now the asphalting from kilometer 1 to kilometer 0 to where it is today. I said it before, nobody can contradict it. I have all the documents with me. A project that they reviewed took the contract from 28 billion to 56 to 71. And on the 25 kilometer road, if you do simple arithmetic, that road was, at the time Governor Udom came, at about 2 billion per kilometer. But Governor Udom is doing 250, 300 million per kilometer. And that road at 71 billion on 25 kilometer, 50 billion will make it 2 billion per kilometer. No bridge, no swamp. So if you add 71 billion, so it's going to be something like 2.6, 2.7 billion per kilometer. It was outrageous. The hotel that they went to build at Akwa Ibom is not my area. But at least I know that it is the most expensive of the Marriott hotel in the global chain pay room space. It's ridiculous. And some people that don't have the facts say, oh, Ibom Specialist was built. Governor Udom would have been very excited to bring in the best people to manage if Ibom Specialist was completed. Go to Ibom Specialist, apart from the ground floor and the first floor. The second and third floor had no doors. It was not even plastered.
I was there.
You were there?
Yeah.
It was not plastered. And these are the stories that people don't want to hear. They simply want to hear lies.
No, the next moment they'll ask you, but Governor Udom was the secretary to the state government then.
So let me say this, and I should be quoted. A state governor or a commissioner has no power to counter what the boss, the governor, wants to do. Governor Udom was secretary to government, so he would have told the governor he shouldn't commission what he wants to commission. The secretary to government can only advise. I'm a commissioner. I can only go to the governor and advise. And let me shock you. At that 2.7 or 2.5 or 2.6 billion per kilometer, that 25 kilometer road is not safe with total drainage, and it's not safe with outfall drains. So what was this money for? And how can a state, as enlightened with enlightened people like our own, as a contractor to design and build without supervision? And the people designed and came to claim that what they designed is what they built because there was no supervision. That road floods. There's no outfall drain. And it's going to be a problem on Governor Udom that until he does the needful to create funding to do outfall drain, the good thing government intended for you, correct me, will punish the communities along that road, because when it rains, the water will not have any discharge points.
Don't you think it would be expedient or ideal for the present administration to probe that very contract?
Well,
or is it that Governor Udom does not want to have problem with his former boss? He can chew. I'm talking about Udom Emmanuel. It's just like looking at the days of Jesus Christ. He feels that he can just spread his hands and everybody will just repent, or repented. But Governor feels that he can just stretch his hands and all the roads in the states are in a very perfect shape. I mean, don't you think as a commissioner that superintend that department that governor has taken too much of responsibility considering the resources?
I don't think so. I think it is rather the desire to see things happen. And it is a long-range planner. Governor Udom is not the, he doesn't do short races. He looks at the long run. The long run in the sense that there are certain basic things that if they do not happen, the other major things you want to do will not happen. If we have the resources and build the deep sea port, and we don't have the dualized roads, and we don't have the superhighway, the deep sea port will have a steel berth. It will suffer the consequences of what they've suffered in Lagos that has driven people away from using the Lagos port. So this man, seeing that they will need it, will rather start gradually to build it up. And Sam, let me tell you, when we came up with the idea of the direct level, I drove around this city center and discovered that the roads, the internal roads in the state were the worst of conditions. There were many areas in the state you wouldn't even enter at all, including a housing. The drainages were blocked. Let me show you an example. Governor Udom went to rescue a child died in Osama, a housing extension. Yeah. And there was an SOS. He sent me there. We had intended to do about 10 roads. And then we discovered that the only 10 roads won't cover the entire area. And there was an outcry. We increased it to 18. We increased it to 21. We increased it to 24, to 28. Yes. By the time these 28 roads are completed, the entire of that area that was rejected comes alive. And we took the water, broke across Ederakban, channel it to the proposed or the supposed underground drain, only to discover that the underground drain was not there, it was incomplete. When we brought the water from Osoma across the
sorry, sir, you mean the underground, the pipe jacking drainage system that was built by Senator Akwa Ibom?
I'm not even talking about the pipeline jacking. I'm talking about the only primary underground drain that was supposed to drain water from Shelter Afrique and the service lane on Ederakban from the sea division, police division, where you have the former house of the former deputy governor.
Yes.
From that place right down to the ravine, they only covered the ground. There was no pipes on the ground. There was no drainage. So when we channeled the water from Osomoma across the road, the pressure increased and busted out the grounds. That's why we had flood in Shelter Afrique, in the wet housing. So we had to now come back to rebuild that underground drain from sea division. When we got to the first manhole, we thought, okay, second manhole to the tail, they will be there. We got to the first manhole. It was not there. We broke it. Because if you don't discharge that water that we have brought from Osomoma and the former one from Iwed Housing that we're supposed to collect there and be discharged at Wangima, that ravine behind the school, what you've simply done is that those areas will all be flooded. So we kept on breaking. But these were roads that were seen to have been completed. So this governor had to have warning. So much that even his house was flooded. Now, these were projects that we did not earmark, but they came up as emergencies. And as we were working, now we have succeeded in linking the underground drain from C Division to Wangima, only to discover that the drains in Iwed Housing in front of the governor's house coming to sea close became too narrow for the new roads we've constructed, channeling the water to come to sea close. It became too narrow. Right now we are doing an ancillary drain to be able to accommodate the water. Are you getting it?
Yes.
Now the honest truth about it is, some of these were not anticipated, but they came up. You know what? They have to be done. Right now government had to take up that extra burden. What was awarded was 5 kilometers ancillary roads in Osama. And now we've added 2.48 kilometers with underground drain of 1.24 kilometers to be able to clean up that maze of a job that was supposedly done.
So quite more people are saying that, I'm not happy with Governor Udom Emmanuel. Why is it even the federal government is probing NDDC? And his government has refused to probe what he has discovered to have been an outer fraud in terms of construction.
Now let me say this, sir. Until our people come to terms with the reality that what is wrong, we will have this problem. If Governor Udom is doing all the things he's doing and they're still criticizing him, if he decides to go a step further to probe the previous government, some people will cry and cry and cry even more than they believed. So the truth is that we are not ready to confront truth. Fundamentally. If you speak truth here, you are an enemy. Governor Udom has done his best in putting things right and has concentrated in looking forward. If he takes the retrospective step of asking previous questions, people here will still cry. But I'm saying to Akwa Ibom people that that money that was supposedly used, that was not used, is their money. It's not Udom Emmanuel's money. Udom Emmanuel wants to walk forward, give account to what he has accrued to him before God and before man and the Akwa Ibom people. So the past is in the hand of Akwa Ibom people. It's Akwa Ibom people that will ask whether it was done or it was not done. No, Udom Emmanuel. Udom Emmanuel's focus today is how he will give account to God and Akwa Ibom people for what was left in his hand during his time. If federal government is probing NDDC, they should invite us to give them information to probe the project in our state. Until they do that, it's superficial. I don't believe that they are serious. Because we have the list. I wrote to the president about abandoned NDC project in our state with pictures. I've not seen the reply. So I think that thing is facile. It's not true. They should invite us to show evidence of the NNDC abandoned project here. I just went now to Osama on Road 1. There was a road, Captain Ekon's road in Osama. Okay? NDDC came, did part of the gutter and abandoned it. It has been awarded 4 times. They should invite us so that we will tell them. But anything they are doing in the office with computer, I don't believe. They are not serious.
With this enormous responsibility, somebody would want to know, how do you rest? How do you relax?
When I have done my job and I feel fulfilled, I get very excited. If I come back today now, I jump into my pool and I come back, I feel very good. I feel depressed when I'm not able to meet my target. When I meet my target, it's like suits my brain and it gives me peace. And if I feel a bit exhausted, I go to my village home like I did yesterday and I will just spend time and rest. But my greatest joy is in meeting my target. When the governor gives me assignment, I deliver. I believe that that is the primary reason why I came here.
Having worked with Governor Udom Emmanuel for 5 years now, how would you describe him?
An absolutely amazing person, very meticulous, very knowledgeable. He's not somebody you play pranks with. Before you start talking, he's a psychologist in one hand, he has police training in one hand, he's an accountant, he's an economist. So you have to be loaded. What you do if you are working with him, if you need results, is that you must go to him always with a superior argument. If you don't, you will come back to say, Abawa, we might sign Bambi. He has refused to sign my document because he's a man you must convince. No emotions when it comes to doing it. And I would say that he has managed the state resources in an absolutely amazing manner. Because sometimes what is left, to my knowledge, I wonder how he does the thing he does. Like the isolation center is single-handedly built. There was no money during COVID-19. But that COVID center, by the end of tomorrow, the state will not be owing any supplier, contractor, or laborer. Absolutely nothing.
Well, May 29 is here, the first anniversary of His Excellency's the second term. A lot of people, contractors, your friends, they will want to hear a goodwill message from you. You take this camera.
All right, thank you for this opportunity. I would like to tell our people, first, thank God who has seen this administration through the first term to the first year of the second term. And I trust God that he who began a good work will bring us to a completion, a successful divine completion. I would like to personally thank my boss, the governor of the state, who happened to be my brother, friend, that the God who started with him will help him to finish strong, grant him wisdom to do that which he was brought to do for Akwa Ibom people. And to Akwa Ibomites and all my friends in the state, friends and foes alike, I'd like to tell them that the days ahead are bright, not minding COVID-19. And to the contractors who are privileged to work in Akwa Ibom, COVID-19 in Akwa Ibom is over, go back to site and let's get working. Thank you very much.
Well, that's it. Normally on our program, because of the present situation in the world, we stand up and demonstrate the greeting in Africa. The greeting of COVID-19 is very important and it's becoming very prominent. That's it. That's the size of the show. I'll definitely get back to Ephraim Inyang. He's an inexhaustible character, and I want to thank His Excellency Governor Udom for giving him all this opportunity and trust he has delivered. We appreciate all of you. Sola has been in the console, and of course the entire information ministry, everybody that has contributed to the success of this media chart. I want to thank you. Character Udom remains our producer. My name is Samson Akpawara, aka Politics Today. God bless you.
Portrait of achievements by Governor Udom Emmanuel in the area of industrialization. He started with toothpick manufacturing factory, pencil factory, peacock pen factory that was abandoned for several years, and he revamped it within 100 days in office. Plywood and timber factory, block factory, metering solution factory, syringe factory, flour mill factory, fertilizer blending factory, coconut refinery, rice mill factory, plastic manufacturing factory, aviation industry, and the establishment of Ibom Air. Aqua Prime Hatchery, cassava processing factory, starch processing factory, and more are still coming. Come, live, work, and invest in Akwa Ibom. Only God, powered by the Ministry of Information, Akwa Ibom State.